Okay, welcome everyone to session number 279 of Kevin Reed's A Course in Miracles. Okay, we have a little extra light in front of me here today. It's a dark and stormy day here in Manhattan. Okay, we are beginning what you might call an addendum to the 3 books of the Course. This is entitled The Clarification of Terms. About a year or so before the course was officially published, they had run off about, I don't know, maybe 100 or 300 copies or something, and had distributed to people, I think that they already knew. So that's Helen and Bill and Ken. And people were asking Helen for some sort of a glossary, so, a clarification of terms, because you notice in the Course it uses Christian terms, but they have slightly different meanings. Okay, so they wanted some clarification, and so as Ken would say, or Ken did say, that he and Helen sat down and wrote out a list of terms that might need clarification, and then when Helen she actually saw a picture in her mind of the book that's a clarification of terms. All right. And she just started to help her with that. He had to laugh. He says, none of the things we wrote down were going to be clarified. But at any rate, this is the way it is. And it's not, it's only got 6 different things that it clarifies, so to speak. It doesn't define anything, okay? So it's not like a dictionary or anything. It's just trying to clarify the difference between mind and spirit. Ken says it's clarification between form and content, all right? And it's the content that is always emphasized. It's always the most important thing, is the content, because the source of the Course in Miracles was the unconditional love of the oneness of God, of heaven, all those things. Right? That was the source, and the form was these words and terms. All right? And it's basically for people in the Western world, because it's using Christian terms, because Christianity seemed to have been a major influence in the Western world. So it comes as almost as a correction for some of those things, okay? At any rate, we're going to begin, and all we're going to focus on today is the introduction. Okay. Introduction to the clarification of terms. Paragraph 1. This is not a course in philosophical speculation, nor is it concerned with precise terminology. It is concerned only with atonement, or the correction of perception. The means of the atonement is forgiveness. The structure of individual consciousness is essentially irrelevant, because it is a concept representing the original error, or the original sin. To study the error itself does not lead to correction. If you are indeed to succeed in overlooking the error, and it is just this process of overlooking at which the Course aims. All right. So he's saying, look, this is not a course in philosophical speculation. We're not sitting there pondering, what is consciousness? What is consciousness? What is individual consciousness? What is individuality? All right? It's not concerned with those things. It's only concerned with the atonement or the correction of perception. Perception only arose with the belief in an other, a belief in separation. Right? There's no perception in the oneness. There's only the oneness, the knowing. Okay? So it's not a course in philosophical speculation. And it doesn't deal with precise terminology. So it's not like a dictionary. It's not going to define things. Because Jesus talks about things in different ways throughout the text. Okay? And that's just a matter of form. Okay? And Jesus uses words the way an artist would. All right? He's more like an artist than a scientific writer. Okay? So all these terms, you're not going to get a precise definition. Okay? So it's only concerned with atonement or the correction of perception. The means of the atonement is forgiveness. That's what the Course is focused on, forgiveness, leading to the realization of your innocence and the fact that you never separated from the oneness. And through the process of forgiveness, right, being willing to have your perception corrected, that's how we reach the awareness. That's how we reach peace of mind. And from the peace of mind comes the awareness of the innocence, the ultimate innocence. So he says in sentence 4, the structure of individual consciousness is essentially irrelevant because it is a concept representing the original error or the original sin, as they would say in the old Christian world. All right. So he says that philosophical idea of the structure of individual consciousness, right? He says it's really irrelevant because it's a concept that's an offshoot of the original error, believing that you're separated, believing that there is now me and God, me and an other. Right? First there was me and God. That's separation. Right? Then I started projecting on God, and I became afraid of God, afraid that he was going to destroy me because I thought I destroyed oneness. I thought I destroyed him. So I project out of the mind, and here's the world, right? Trying to prove to me that I did it. Right? So that's the original error, is believing that there was an other. Right? To study the error itself does not lead to correction. Right? At one time, Kent said, the ego loves to study itself, right? Because it's a delay tactic. Right? It keeps concentrating on itself. Right? To study the error itself does not lead to correction. If you are indeed to succeed in overlooking the error, and it is just this process of overlooking at which the Course aims. So it's not that we're aiming to ignore the error. What we're trying to do is look at it and look past it, realizing that it is an illusion. Look beyond it. Right? I look at it with Jesus, right? And I see beyond and realize it's an illusion. And it's basically the process of forgiveness. I noticed that I'm reacting to a situation, but I'm willing to see the truth, which is beyond the person or the situation. Right? And that's what I ask for help with. Right? I'm not studying why this person is acting out or how did I get into this situation. It's just I want to go past that to the truth. How do I be peaceful in the situation? Right? What does love look like? All those things. All right? And it's just this process of overlooking, right, which means looking past it, looking beyond it, at which the Course aims. Okay? Paragraph 2. All terms are potentially controversial, and those who seek controversy will find it. Yet those who seek clarification will find it as well. They must, however, be willing to overlook controversy, recognizing that it is a defense against the truth in the form of delay. A delaying maneuver. I got tongue-tied now. Theological considerations as such are unnecessarily controversial, since they depend on belief and can therefore be accepted or rejected. A universal theology is impossible, but a universal experience is not only possible, but necessary. It is this experience toward which the Course is directed. Here alone, constancy becomes possible, because here alone, uncertainty ends. Right? So uncertainty ends with the experience. Right? The experience of peace of mind leading to the awareness of the ultimate innocence. Uncertainty ends. I don't know more questions. Right. Uncertainty ends. All right. And as he begins that second paragraph, all terms are potentially controversial. All right. So, people will argue. Spirit, soul, belief, resurrection. All right? All these terms can be controversial, all right, depending on your belief system. All right? He says, look, we're not here to argue. We're not concerned with that. All right? He says, those who seek clarification will find it. And those who seek controversy will find that too. You want to argue? Go ahead. All right. That's what you'll find. All right. They must, however, be willing to overlook controversy. All right. If we're looking for clarification, he says you'll find it. Okay, we have a traffic symphony going on outside. They must, however, be willing to overlook the controversy, recognizing that it is a defense against the truth in the form of a delaying maneuver. The argument is just a delay. Well, what do you mean? The resurrection is this, or the resurrection is that, and what about Jesus' death, and what about the apostles, and what about everything? If you want controversy, you'll find it. You will find it. And when Jesus says this, was he talking about these people here? You can find it if you want it. All right? But Jesus says if you want clarification, you have to be willing to go past that delay tactic. All right? That arguing is just a delay. Okay. Sirens seem to be a delay tactic also. Come on, fellas, give us a break. Okay. Alrighty then. It's a rainy day, and I loved physics, even though I really didn't pass it in my college days. But moisture magnifies sound. All right. So the air is wet, the city is wet, so the sounds get a little louder. Is that a delay tactic? I'm not sure. Okay. Theological considerations, paragraph 2, sentence 4, right, as such are necessarily controversial, since they depend on belief and can therefore be accepted or rejected. A universal theology is impossible, right? So not everybody has the same theology, the same belief. But a universal experience is not only possible, but necessary. That's what we're going for, right, is the experience. Right? The experience of the reflection of the oneness. Okay? It is this experience toward which the Course is directed. Here alone, consistency becomes possible, because here alone uncertainty ends. Right? Like the old Buddhist statement that says we're climbing up the mountain on different paths. Right? It's just like saying you have different theologies, different beliefs, but a dedicated person is climbing up the mountain. Okay? We haven't got time to argue which path is correct. As long as they're all going up the mountain, good on you, as they say in the old country. All right? All the paths are leading up the mountain, and when you get to the top, the view is the same. The universal experience occurs when you get to the top of the mountain, no matter what path you are taking. Don't waste time arguing, well, my path is better than yours, and my path is the one true path, and that's all nonsense. You want to get past those controversies. You want to get to the top of the mountain and have that experience of the reflection of oneness, that peace that passes all understanding. So the universal theology is impossible, but the universal experience is not only possible, it is necessary. Because that's when uncertainty ends. All right? And everything is consistent. Then in paragraph 3, he says, this course remains within an ego framework where it is needed. It is not concerned with what is beyond all error because it is planned only to set the direction toward it. Therefore, it uses words, which are symbolic, and cannot express what lies beyond symbols. It is merely the ego that questions, because it is only the ego that doubts. The Course merely gives another answer once a question has been raised. However, this answer does not attempt to resort to inventiveness or ingenuity. These are attributes of the ego. The Course is simple. It has one function and one goal. Only in that does it remain wholly consistent, because only that can be consistent. So we use words. It's in an ego framework. It comes within the world, which is the product of the ego belief in separation. Right? So it remains within an ego framework because that's where it's needed. We don't need any corrections in the oneness. Right? In the illusion, corrections are needed. Right? It's not concerned with what lies beyond all error. Right? What lies beyond all error is heaven, the oneness, the atonement, your true relationship with your Creator. Unconditional love, which is beyond words, beyond all symbols. Right? No words can describe the experience. Okay? So it's set in an ego framework. It's not concerned with what lies beyond all error because it is planned only to set the direction toward it. All right? The Course puts us on the path, and we keep working on that process of forgiveness, of having our perceptions corrected until we get to that great aha moment. Right? The Course sets us on that path. Okay? And here alone, consistency becomes possible, because here alone, uncertainty ends. All right? With that experience, there is no more uncertainty. All right? You are sure. You are sure of your innocence. You are sure of the oneness of everything. You're sure of your existence within your Creator. See, even those words can't describe the experience. All right. So the Course remains in an ego framework. It uses words. All right. So the Course merely gives another answer once the question has been raised. All right. This Course is the answer. All right. First, it was the answer to Bill and Helen's question. You know, there must be a better way, which was actually a question. There must be a better way to communicate with one another. There must be a better way to communicate within the department, the psychology department. There had to be a better way. This Course was the answer and is the answer for all of us. There has to be a better way of getting on in this world, right? In this ego framework. And this Course is the answer. It sets us on the path to escape from this, to wake up from this. All right? And the world gives a lot of answers that don't really answer the main question, which is, what am I? What am I? Right? How did I get here? All that stuff. The world doesn't answer those questions. Okay? The Course tries to get the ego's answer out of the way. Right? And the idea is connect with love in your mind. Right? And the answer, so to speak, will fit any situation. Right? Whatever answer you're looking for. Love is the answer, and love will take the shape, the form that is needed if you take the moment to connect with your right mind, as we call it. Right? And let that come through you. Right? So, the Course merely gives another answer once a question has been raised. Sentence 6 in paragraph 3. However, this answer does not attempt to resort to inventiveness or ingenuity. Right? He says those are attributes of the ego. The ego tries to figure stuff out. He says the course is simple. Go to the love in your mind. Right? You look at the ego's response and you say, I don't want that. And you go to the ego, go to the love in your mind. It has one function and one goal. Right? That's to get the ego's response out of the way. Only in that does it remain wholly consistent, because only that can be consistent. Right? So Jesus is saying that the Course is consistent in content, not form, because form appears in myriad ways. And we believe we're individuals, so we have all these individual things, that appear in form. But the content is always the same as far as the Course goes. Connect with love, and love will shine on the situation. Paragraph 4. The ego will demand many answers that this Course does not give. It does not recognize as questions the mere form of a question, to which an answer is impossible. Right? The ego may ask, how did the impossible occur? To what did the impossible happen? And may ask this in many forms. Yet there is no answer, only an experience. Seek only this, and do not let theology delay you. Right. So the ego demands many answers. So when the ego, and whenever we would be in one of Dr. Wapnick's classes, well, not all the time, but inevitably there would be someone there would be there for the first time, or the first time, they've been thinking about it for a while, and they posed the question, well, if God is perfect oneness, how did this occur? How did the separation occur? Right? And this is what Jesus is talking about. The ego asks all kinds of questions that they only disguised as questions. He says, that's a statement that says, I believe that the separation occurred. Tell me how it happened. Excuse me. So all the ego's questions are, it's just statements in the form of a question. Right? How did the impossible occur? How did the separation happen? And Jesus says, you're not going to get an answer here, because there is no answer. There's only an experience. Right? If Jesus says to you, no, it didn't happen, does that help you? Does that help when you ask, how did this happen? Oh, it didn't. All right? That's going to blow your mind. It's going to trick you or trap you or something. Right? So he says there's no answer to statements that are disguised as questions. There's only the experience. And that's what we're looking for, is the experience of oneness, the reflection of heaven here in the dream, until we rise up fully to the awareness of oneness, the awareness of what am I. Right? So the ego will demand many questions that this course does not give, right? Because they are statements in the form of questions, right? I believe the ego is true. Tell me how it happened. Well, Jesus is telling us the ego is an illusion. It's a dream. Right? So seek only this and do not let theology delay you. Right? Right? Don't get mixed up in the controversies. Just look for the experience. Desire the experience. Paragraph 5. You will notice that the emphasis on structural issues in the course is brief and early. Afterwards and soon, it drops away to make way for the central teaching. Since you have asked for clarification, however, these are some of the terms that are used. And then he'll go on. The first one he's going to do is mind, spirit. See, we're going to go form, content, stuff like that. So when he says that, you'll notice that the emphasis on structural issues, all right, in the course is brief and early. So in the very first couple of chapters, Jesus is going to be talking about the mind, the right mind, the wrong mind, things of that nature, right? And as he says, afterwards and soon, after that, explanation, it drops away. Right? We're no longer going to be explaining right mind, wrong mind, decision makers. He says it all drops away and it makes way for the central teaching of the course, right? Which is forgiveness, right? And it works all the way up to show you how it operates. But since you have asked for clarification, which Helen did, and our friends urging, since you asked for clarification, these are some of the terms that I used. Right? So the central teaching of the course is the atonement. You never separate it. All right? He says, don't let the theology delay you. All right? So that's the introduction. And we'll just leave it there, make it brief. And next week we will go on to look at the concepts of mind and spirit. All right? These next several classes should be brief, comparatively. Alrighty then, thank you, and I'll see you in the next session.